All right, I'm at the Soul Spire. Oh god.
So am I, but so are all of our friends that we brought
No,
with us.
there's so many friends.
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of Last Epoch. Judd, the game creator of Last Epoch, Mike and Stan's senior developers were hosted by Zizaran. And for the first time, if you are not in the CT program, you were able to see multiplayer live, no NDA, kind of anything goes. And I got to give it to Zizaran because at 1.67 thousand people watching the stream, he was able to get those developers and Judd to answer some pretty serious questions. So what we're doing today is this is Dev Chat 67 Zizaran edition, and I'm excited to give you the highlights. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to show you what I think was the most pertinent information from the stream starting now.
What about server locations? Are you where are currently server locations?
We have a large list of that. Just a sec. The amount of areas right now we're in Australia, Southeast America, Australia West, Asia Southeast and Northeast, all US locations, Canadian locations, EU West, EU East, and potentially South Africa. Judd requested me to sing that in the Animaniac song, but I was not able to do it.
You guys remember that, the Animaniac song where they go through all the states? Probably not, because you're not in the states, but...
No, we got that up here.
Did you?
Yeah, we did actually.
I haven't seen
Probably
it.
at least 5 people in chat who know
I
that.
can still remember it.
So yeah, we're basically as many places as possible. So
Oh, Magic2424 is asking, how is Monolith planned to be adapted to multiplayer?
Yeah, so we're trying to keep that as like seamless and feel as similar to single player as possible. Trying to keep it so that you're not needing to like game the system with each other, just to make it easy, really. In every way we can, just so that and we're trying to avoid exploits when we can. So the way it's going to work is when you complete an echo without leaving or dying, you will receive the echo specific reward, even if you're not like the owner or the person who started or the party leader. All players get the stability for that echo in their monolith progression and like moving their timeline along. And then when you complete the last echo of the timeline, it will give you the like unlocking the next monolith timeline. It will give you a blessing. Everyone gets all those things. All the rewards are for everyone, so everyone gets everything.
Very nice. So how is this going to work with things like boosting and XP penalties? Like, for example, say my friend Steel Mage is level 95. I come in with a level 15 character. Will I be getting insane XP and he can boost me up to level 60 real quick?
We're gonna stick with the same experience penalty, air quotes penalty, that we have in single player right now. So you'll gain experience as though you were in a level 20 zone. So you can go to further zones you can just portal to him and he'll carry you through hard stuff and you level really fast, but it won't be light speed.
Okay. Cool. So boosting will be possible then.
yes, but it'll be a scaled boost, so it won't be quite like the 30-second leveling process of Diablo 3, for example.
Good. Let's talk some timelines. Do you have any rough like timeline as opposed to like when multiplayer is going to be available for everybody, when we're going to see more people streaming it, and potential release dates? Are we looking for a year away, 2, 3?
Do you wanna? I'll let you dive into that. However much you want to
Sure.
answer that one.
So right now we're in the closed alpha process of testing this. We're adding a lot of players. We want to go to open beta when we feel it's ready to kind of open up, unlock the NDA, and let lots of players in and test themselves without like a controlled environment like this. Our release timelines still aren't out in the world, but we are trying to aim for an open beta this year if possible. So as you can see, we're getting pretty close at this point.
Yeah. So what is the next upcoming Like, is Falconeer the next one that's coming? Or
So
Warlock?
the remaining 3 are the Rune Master, the Falconer, and the Warlock. So those are the 3
Which one's
masters
coming
each.
next?
It will depend. We have started our ideation process on the Rune Master first, so it's probably reasonable to say that we will complete that before the others. We've made more progress on the Warlock and the Falconer than the Rune Master, so we decided to start there.
Okay.
I'd be fine with giving a world first answer to that question if we'd like to, guys.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we will be releasing all 3 of those classes at the 1.0 release of the game
Oh, nice.
at the same time. So
Oh. Oh, very cool. I was gonna ask if you could pivot to do Falconeer first, because I personally love summons in this game. It's just so fun.
I'm super glad that you're excited about the Falconer, because that was actually something many years ago when Diablo 3 was not even announced. My cousin Kyle and I, who are obsessed with these types of games, actually submitted the idea of a Falconer to Diablo 3, and we had won BlizzCon tickets because they liked the suggestion so much.
Oh.
They didn't take it, but they liked it a whole lot, and so ever since then, when they didn't create the Falconer, I was like, I'm gonna make a Falconer. It's gonna be awesome.
Uncooked is also asking, when can we start to expect microtransactions? I want to look pretty.
Fair question. So we're aiming for a minimum viable version of the MTX store for the open beta, or the next patch being 0.9. It's important for us to release this so we can start to figure out what the community will enjoy and what you guys would like to see to support us. It will be important that we are selling these microtransactions, because keeping games like this running is expensive. We're going to release a version of this in 0.9 to make sure that it is watertight and we get all the bugs out, so that when we get to 1.0, that system is solid.
And will there ever
So,
be any?
fairly soon.
And will there ever be any microtransactions that affect gameplay in Last Epoch?
There will not.
Nice.
Cosmetic only.
Cosmetic only. Nice.
Very hard stance.
Very hard stance.
It's gonna be like a Path of
yes.
Exile League, a Diablo 3
Seasons,
season, a
leagues,
Last
that
Epoch
equals-
cycle.
Correct. And so, those will come every time we release a cycle. It will be a fresh start for characters. Your characters that have existed will transfer into a standard league, as you guys have come to assume they will. We'll be releasing new unique items, balance changes. We'll likely be implementing new skills, and lots of content like that we will continue to implement into the game for many years to come. In addition to other mechanics, systems, etc., etc.
Very nice. So, things like stash tabs then, since they are bought in-game, I'm guessing they will also reset on a new cycle.
In what regard? Like
So-
resetting in terms of...
So I'm guessing a cycle will be a full reset for everybody. Like if I played for 10 years, I won't have
Correct.
an advantage over anyone that's just started playing. So like I will have to buy new stash tabs.
That's correct, and those will be purchasable with gold.
Yeah.
However, the stash tabs that you have, I believe they're actually still in discussions about how to transfer those over to a standard league nicely when a cycle begins. That's one of the design questions that we have to answer in the near future.
With multiplayer coming in now and the potential for trading, have you guys talked about things like bind on equip, bind on pickup, bind on trade?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes, and I believe a couple of the conversations that we had to great length were when you mentioned them, but we'd also thought about them ourselves too. So yes,
Alright.
we have thought heavily about all of those things, and we're taking them under consideration. I mean, we've gone as far as to discuss even how RuneScape does its economy. We've looked all the way back. We've
Wow.
discussed the actual bazaar in EverQuest. We've gone through the history of economies and MMOs and ARPGs to try to figure out what about them we enjoy the most.
Yeah.
It's been very in depth. That's why we don't want to speak too much on it now, as we're still kind of bringing light to that whole process that we've been working on for so long.
That makes sense. Are you going to strive for an actual balance where you're always trying to like keep skills within a certain margin of each other? Or are you going to just keep nerfing and buffing things to cycle out what ends up being popular? To like
So
keep things refreshed.
I think that's a great question. There's actually a concept of that called perfect imbalance. They talk about that actually even in games like League of Legends, other action RPGs, games like ours. And for us, I think we really do believe in making constant adjustments and modifications. Seeing a meta build kind of settle up at the top for a very long time is can kind of feel a little tiresome over a number of cycles and releases when you feel really pressured to keep continuing to that build. With that said, we're not really the type to make, we don't really want to just yank that build out of the spotlight. So if something is really powerful but isn't an outlier, we're going to make slight adjustments to it over time until someone kind of bubbles up the arguments like, hey, this is no longer the meta build. There's other things that are just as good now, rather than trying to take the most powerful build and just nerfing it down. So we very much fundamentally believe in that perfect imbalance of constantly making adjustments.
That is a pretty good answer for me. I personally am not a big fan of balance in RPGs. I personally just love radical change all the time. So like you said, that there isn't one build being the strongest build for like 6 years. So
yeah, and we like to adjust those builds by not taking them away from players who enjoy them, but making it clear to people that we want to shift that meta, as we need to.
Yeah. Ooh, will dungeons require a key from everyone?
No. Only only one person needs to open the dungeon. But it will reduce the number of keys that drop inside the dungeons themselves to avoid a party meal just to stay running that same dungeon forever.
Okay.
But yeah, it's right now the plan is one person opens it up. There's some knock-on balance stuff that happens that we're still working out exactly how it's going to happen. For example, the vaults, we're looking at when one person pays for it, how does that affect the loot that everyone gets and things like that. So we're still experimenting and lining up, but we want to make it friendly and having those barriers to play in a party be low.
Cool. Yeah, it seems like you're thinking very heavily about just people having fun and a good time more than anything.
I think if we do that well up front and people come and play and they have a good time and they experience the parts of the game that we're already super proud of making, that gives us the best basis we have to build more complexity, more systems, more features, more things to add in the future. So yeah, I think that's what we're really honing in on as we get to 1.0.
I understand there are a few more endgame systems yet to come. Where do these fall on the roadmap past multiplayer?
That is a great question. And the answer for that is immediate. We need to finish the remaining mastery classes before 1.0. Kind of at the same time, though, we are immediately planning for endgame additions. This is on the forefront of my mind personally. It's something that keeps me up at night right now as we're trying to do everything else. Right now, we're kind of seeing if we can determine if there's anything we can provide between now and 1.0. And we have some good systems, but we're not really promising anything before 1.0. However, we do have a number of ideas that we do want to ship. So you should definitely expect us to have priority number one to be adding endgame content post-launch. So
nice.
It's on our mind and we've already started.
Set items, by and large, seem underpowered and not exciting compared to uniques and rares, especially in the mid and end game. Are there plans to bring power and flexibility to set items more in line with unique items?
Yeah, so we definitely want set items to be part of your end game gear consideration. So you're not just ignoring them at end game, or super end game at least. We don't have any concrete plans to add additional mechanics specific to set items. We're open to suggestions. We're still looking at it for the future. There's sort of there's a pretty big gap between good and perfect gear right now, and there's more room to balance sets in a way that makes them viable without taking over the game completely. Because we that's a big problem too if set items just become, if it swings too far the other way.
Yeah, that's why I'm very curious what you're gonna do, because that's the biggest problem is set items in every game I've played that have them. It becomes mandatory.
Yeah, and it locks down too many gear slots, right? Where you're just it's okay. Well, I'm playing a marksman rogue. and there's the marksman rogue set, and so these 4 slots are just spoken for, and it's like I don't have to consider them at all when doing my gearing. And that's what we want to avoid, but we do want them to be viable and fun to play with. So I think we can, in the short term, all that we can really expect immediately is some individual buffs to specific set items that are more end-game focused but aren't performing like they are.
Yeah, I think it's like similar to some of the other questions where people were asking what our vision was on a thing, and in this case for sets, it's more like how does the game play and what do we want from it is how we're going to act. We're not going to say go and make every set's hyper viable. We'll try to adjust sets on a piece by piece basis to ideally get them in a nice state. But if the problem we end up in is that there's always a back and forth of whether or not sets are ever useful, we prefer that over sets feeling completely mandatory all the time. That's really important to us.
Gotta talk to Gregory out here.
So naturally, we didn't want to build our mastery scene out for multiplayer, just because it was a fairly complicated process. So we had to find another solution. So of course we went with something very high spec and AAA. I'd like you to meet our friend Gregory.
You need to zoom into Gregory right here, Ziz.
It's down here. Don't go up. Yeah.
He's awesome.
Gregory, the CT helper. Hi, I'm Gregory. I've been temporarily hired to let you pick your mastery, so what do you want to become? Hello, Gregory. Wait. Why is he called Gregory?
Well, why not?
I just wondered
why
if
he's called Gregory.
it's such a recent thing, and I wondered if someone really liked the Sandman.
Oh, no, this was before Sandman.
Oh, okay.
One of our team members' sons is named Gregory, but I don't think that was a happy coincidence for that individual on the team.
Oh, nice.